welcome to our newest episode of our podcast, Day and Night Conversation, where we'll be having conversations day and night and day and night and day and night. Woo! All right, I love it. Okay, love the energy. Love the energy. I'm your host for the episode, Claudel, and today I'll be with the very beautiful co-host, Day, which actual name is Yowande, but she wants me to call her Day.
Well, I don't
like
want you.
Yowande.
It's easier for you.
I'm going to call you Yowande
All
because
right.
I love it. And today we're also blessed to have a very special guest, who is Miss Liane Berry, who happens to be the founder of a nonprofit for at-risk women.
Absolutely.
And you might want to get closer to that mic.
Okay, I'll do that.
Right.
I just want to keep everybody in my sights, like when I'm talking,
Okay.
I love to
Trust
see
issues. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
There you
We're
go.
going to work it.
Okay.
We're going to work it.
All right, cool.
So, yeah, founder of a nonprofit, and you've also just released your memoir, I've heard, a book.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Just released it. It's so crazy because it was just, we did the book release right over here at 4710 St. Ambroise. And, I didn't know you guys were here. So
Right
close,
here.
Right close,
Yeah,
right
we were
beside.
right here having conversations
you know
day
what I
and
mean?
night. That's what we do. That's how we do it.
Sure, so I know you were here.
Yeah, well, now you know, right?
Absolutely.
Good. And I was wondering if it was possible for you, please, can you tell us a bit about your story? And, I mean, it has to be an interesting story for it to be in a book. I mean, if my story was in a book, it'd be a comic,
Or maybe just 2 pages.
a title, and a name. That's it. Okay, I am not interesting. Awesome. Well, we do have Liane. That's a whole lot more interesting than I am. So please tell us, let's start with your story.
Okay, so, my book is called 7 Times Rise. And the reason I chose that name for the book is because, I've had many falls. I fell down many times. And, when I look at the big picture in the book, I really rose up to a better life around 7 times, Also, 7 is like my favorite number. I've always liked it. I remember when, because I grew up in a very Jamaican culture. So, yeah.
You don't say. Go on.
No, for real.
It's pretty much all I can say. It's just far, and I probably didn't say something that made sense.
Yeah,
No, you did.
It didn't
You
sound
did.
good at all.
Oh,
And it-
well, I
No,
know
it's
some
good.
bad
I
words,
appreciate the
but I
attempt.
didn't feel like bomba clock. That just
No, it's
happened.
like-
What's up?
Me not tell no lie still.
Whoa! Whoa!
No, me not tell no lie. I grew up with Yadi.
I believe you.
Yeah, and so they had this saying, okay? So they were always, I would always hear the 7 times rise, 7 times fall. Look, I'm sure it's from the Bible, but for me, it's from Jamaicans,
Got it,
because
okay.
that's where I got it from. So I always said, when I do write this book, I'm going to call it 7 Times Rise and 7 Times Fall. Like, that was my thing. But then after writing it, I'm like, I don't want fall to be at the end of my title. You know what I mean?
I
Because
see.
I want to stay up. So then I was like 7 Times Rise, and we took it from there, and that's, like I said, the title. So to explain, I guess the most important thing to tell you all is that it's a story of hope. It's definitely to show people that no matter how far down the scale people may go, how much problems you may have, no matter what goes on in your life, there's always hope for change, for things to get better. That's basically what the book is about.
Okay, I see. I love it. And well, for you to actually write a book about rising 7 times, like someone that probably fallen 6 times if you rose 7. Anyways, you get the point.
That's it.
I'm guessing you had shortcomings in your life. You had hard times.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I mean, if I can start, let's start at the beginning. So as the book
Please.
does, start at the beginning. So I grew up here in Montreal. However, I did not grow up in Jamaica, even though that's the culture that
I would have believed you.
that I ended up growing up in. But I was born here in Montreal. I grew up in Montreal West, NDG, etc. And my parents got divorced when I was very young. My mother was kind of left, to raise us, which she did the best job that she could with what she had.
Shout out to single moms.
There you go. You know what I mean? And she showed me like so much love and affection, and everything was well. However, after a year or two, she began to. A year or two after the divorce, I think, when the divorce became final, that she began to have some issues, mental health, addiction, etc. So she didn't have as much focus on us kids. I have 2 older brothers. so at that time I became very, independent, and
You had
sort
no
of
choice,
yeah. So dressing myself, getting up to go to school if I felt like it, and stuff.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Right? That's what it seemed like at the time.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. That's,
And
yeah,
your
let's
brothers
leave
were
it at
older
that.
than you.
My brothers were older than me,
Okay.
so but they did not. It's not like they said, "Oh, well, I'm going to take care of my younger sister." They were off doing their own stuff.
So you didn't take care of them either?
No,
No, okay.
no,
'Cause
absolutely
sometimes
not.
the younger sibling takes on that like parental role, and
Yeah, that was actually my
That's
next
true.
question. I usually
Yeah.
would have thought that you were gonna take, but they were older than you were, right?
They were older than me, and
Yeah.
like we sort of like they went in one direction and I went in another. Actually, at that point in time, I started to hang out with older kids, even though, and they seemed to be more rebellious and getting into trouble and stuff like that. So that's the kind of direction that I went in, and my brothers didn't. And then as I got a little bit older, I continued in that direction. I got to say that my mom, so she began to have relationships with guys, and yes, I don't even know where to begin, but my mom had relationships with guys. The first one was from Barbados, and then the second one was from Trinidad. So they were.
Big up Trinidad.
There you
Sorry.
go. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. You're not gonna let that one slide.
Yeah, and and like she stayed with that Trinidadian for many
Well,
years.
any smart woman would.
Okay.
Right?
That is on top.
Women out there, y'all heard? Okay.
Anyways, to be honest, now that I've matured a little bit over the years, I realize that it doesn't matter where a man comes from; it's what the man has inside of him, right?
For sure.
So, but at that point in time, that was my example, right?
I love that.
That was my example. And my mom, she, so of course they were men of color. I wouldn't say they were black guys. My mom was going out with black guys, which was new to me, which then introduced me to black culture. My first best friend was black, and then
Me too.
Yay!
I swear, me
really
too.
for real.
Yeah, I'm
Well, you
telling
should have had a
you.
white best friend, dude. Like then you would have had the inside
Privileges,
of both sides.
right?
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
I don't
Thank
know.
you.
How about your brothers, your older brothers? Did they have black friends as well?
They did, but not as much as I did.
Okay.
Like because we grew up in NDG Montreal West, it was definitely integrated culture. You know what I mean? There was black, white, there was mostly English. So a lot of West Indians that would come over would stay in that area because of the English, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's they did definitely had black friends. Still, still they're close to their guys that they grew up with. So we went to a school there. So as I said, like I said, my first black friend. It sounds so stupid, right? Like all these white guys, like I'm not racist. I have black friends.
best friend.
No, well, this girl here grew up in the black culture of Montreal.
You had spices on your chicken.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, it was
Nobody could say yardie and be a racist.
Exactly.
Sorry.
and fake. That was it for me. I was so at a very young age. I didn't want. Of course, I didn't want to be Liane, and I think that comes out further on later when I get into addiction. You know what I mean? Addiction is a big part of people that are not comfortable in their own skin, that don't want to be themselves, and then so they use
Other things
outside of
to-
themselves to
yeah.
become. So when I was young, I wanted to be black like my friends. I was like, and I was with them in everything. If people were putting them down, I was fighting. I was there. I was definitely black. And as I write about it in my book, and I say, I got to the point where I wasn't only black, I was Jamaican by injection. You understand? That was me. Like I was.
What kind of injection are we talking about, though?
Said it.
What kind of injection are we talking about?
Well, at that point, I wasn't a virgin anymore, so it was like Jamaican injection.
Okay,
you know what
you're
I'm
actually
saying?
right. And she even said it with a little action.
I know,
got the
she's smiling
Jamaican
too. She's
injection.
proud of it.
I got the
So-
Jamaican injection.
There you
I
go.
see you.
And,
Yeah.
I talk about it. And I talk about it in the book. So in the book, it explains everything that I'm telling you guys right now is in the book, and it tells you how things came to be in my life. So what happened when I said my mom began to become not as focused and not present in the moment, I went out there and I started to rebel, and I did my own thing, and I left my mom's house very young, and I went and lived with my yardie friends, because I met 3 sisters that were from Jamaica, and the oldest one lived with her boyfriend in their own apartment. So therefore, I was always hanging out there, and when I left my mom's house, that's where I went to live.
Okay.
And
around what age were you?
I think I was around 12, to be honest. I believe I just turned 12.
And they were how old?
So she was 18, and her boyfriend was like maybe 19.
Wow. So a lot older than you. When you think about how mature or not mature a 12-year-old is compared to maybe an 18-year-old, like there's a big difference in what you
have
guys would be involved in.
There is. There
So
is.
you
So-
were exposed to a lot of
Yeah.
mature things at a young age.
Absolutely. So
as well as having your mom at home, kind of on an addicted.
Yeah,
drugs
like
as
I
well,
wasn't
right?
seeing my mom. So I left my mom at 12, and I was so like doing things that they were doing. So they're living together and they're sleeping together. I was sleeping with guys as well. So at 12 years old, I was no more virgin.
And these were guys of age, or
Absolutely of age or younger too. Like my first boyfriend was 18 and I was 12, right? But the thing is that, to be honest, I didn't know what I was doing, and I also talk about that in the book, is that I was doing this because, well, everybody else had a boyfriend, so I'm like, I'm gonna have one too, you know. So like even having sex and stuff like that, it wasn't. I didn't understand what was going on.
For sure.
You know,
Well,
I was.
you had nobody really to sit you down and
That's right.
guide you.
And that's it.
You know,
So-
unfortunately on that part.
I didn't know what was really going on, but I knew that like the guy would pay attention to me if I did that, you know. And I had a boyfriend like everyone else, so that's where I was at 12 years old.
and where was your father?
My dad, so they had, like I said, divorced, and he actually went to Toronto. He moved to Toronto when I was quite young. And, you know, one time when I got in some trouble and I called my dad, I went to live with him in Toronto, but that didn't work out either. It was like, you know, so he was not really present in my life.
But you had two older brothers. Like usually when girls have older brothers,
Yeah,
they're
they
your
should be
protectors.
protective. They should
They're
be,
the ones
like,
that are like,
protective,
who you go,
yeah.
where you going, when you coming back home. So if you're 12 and you have an 18-year-old boyfriend, your brothers should have noticed that, right?
Yeah, my
Or-
brothers were not, like, when I left my mom's house, they didn't see me anymore. I was gone.
Oh.
You were
I was
gone.
gone.
Okay, they were still living with your mom, though?
They still lived with my mom, but they found their own way out of the
okay,
problem. In
yeah.
other words, they were like, one of my brothers was always playing basketball with his friends. He was always doing sports, and he found a mentor. You know, someone who would guide him and
Guidance,
say,
exactly.
you know, you don't have to do. You know, you can be okay even though things at home are rough or whatever. You know, if you go this route, you know, you're probably gonna be fine. You know, just try this. So he had someone that he could depend on, someone that supported him, and he also had very good friends that he hung out with, and that, you know, not older, you know, kids his age, etc. And then my oldest brother, he went out and got a paper route for himself. Like, he did what he had to do so he could eat, so he could have what he needed for school, etc., etc. So they were doing their own thing, and I was doing my own thing.
No, legit.
Yeah, they weren't seeing me anymore.
So your brothers seemed like they had more of like a straight path, like kind of going on a more positive route, and you
Yes.
were kind of just like going with the
Looking for
vibe,
she
looking
was
for love,
looking for
kinda
herself.
acceptance.
Yeah, I was a juvenile delinquent.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Oh, okay. What made you a delinquent?
Well, this is what I was like. Okay, if we look at the real, now that I've written the book and now that I've like had to read it a few times to edit it, like now I can look back and I can see that it was about survival at first. You know, there wasn't a lot of food at the house. We were moving every couple of months because the rent wasn't paid. So I began to, you know, steal so I could eat.
So
You
this
know,
is with your 18-year-old boyfriend?
this is before I even had the boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is before I even had the boyfriend. Once I moved out of my mom's house, once I left my mom's house, I was fed, okay, these guys were cooking every day, you know, rice and peas, you know, stewed chicken, ackee and saltfish.
Eating good food.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I remember the first time I ate dumplings, I was like, what? Yeah.
Like, eating green peas and white rice?
I was so excited. I was so excited about the food. Like, so that definitely got me hooked up. Like, I was there and I was in with these guys, and, you know, but food is what, so look at that, it's survival. Food is what had me first committing crimes so that I could eat. And then eventually.
That's how it is for a lot of people when you think about it. Like,
Right?
gang members, gangs, that's how it actually started. It's like
I think so.
nobody would
The basic needs are not met, so they
Exactly.
go out and
Nobody
they try to
would
get
take
those,
care of
and
them,
a lot of
so,
other shit comes with
it's
those
survival
basic
of the
needs,
fittest,
right?
yeah.
Absolutely. And then you just get used to that kind of, you know, freeness, right? Because, so even when I moved now, I left my mom's house and I'm living with these people and I'm fed, so I want clothes now. Me have to look good now. Me have to wear makeup now, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like, things, so I got into the, you know, I started to go to high school, so I got into the, what was important on the outside. You know, so people are talking about how you look
What
and
you
what
look
you're
like,
wearing. Because when I was in younger school, when I was in elementary and stuff like that, you know, I was wearing like the same clothes all the time because my mom wasn't getting me anything. And I was like, you know, people, you know, would probably be
Make fun of
saying,
you, or-
you'd be saying, I don't know, because I don't remember anybody ever saying it to me, but I'm sure they were saying, Liane's mom, you know, they must be poor. You know what I'm saying? They must be gotten to have nothing. I remember one time, like my stepdad from Trinidad there, he was a gambler. And one time he went to the racetrack and won some money. And my mom bought me like 2 pairs of pants. And like, I'll never forget that because it was like the only pants.
times that you got 2 pair of
Yeah,
pants.
you know what I mean? And I was
got
super
upgraded.
excited about that. So once I was being fed, when I moved now to Uptown, so I left.
Now your needs change.
Yeah, my needs changed, and my so it became about you know what I look like, and you know I guess everyone goes through that at
Your
high school.
image and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
my
you're always
image.
you're consumed by how people think.
Yeah, and how I look, right?
How do I look? Right.
So then I began to steal clothes and.
And so wait,
makeup.
when you were going for your look, were you going for like that Jamaican look?
Well, I was definitely. Well,
Like,
I got
did you have green hair? And did you get a
No,
gold tooth?
no, no.
Like that type of Jamaican?
Okay, so no,
That'd be
that
dope.
came after.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You're lying, you
Oh
had
my
a gold
God.
tooth?
For real, I had a gold tooth. I had a cap. Yeah.
I knew
for
it. You
sure.
said you can't talk Jamaican without gold.
No,
Like,
I
oh,
had
it
that.
comes hand in hand.
Oh my God, I talk about it in the book. When in like it's like a sign of affluence, you know, and it really doesn't mean anything. Like so the first like now that I look back at it, the first gold that I had, so I had to pay down on it for a year. Yeah, like it's not like I could go buy the things that I wanted to wear. Like I paid down on it for a year and then I started to wear it and I'm like, okay, and so now I look rich, right? Yeah. But I was poor, you know. I had to pay down. So anyhow, it's an outside thing.
Yeah.
It's fake. It's just a bunch of fakeness. And you know, I think that everyone has that. You know, it's whether you're Jamaican, Canadian, American, or whatever. Everyone has this thing where they want to, on the outside, they want to look a
wanna
certain
look
way.
good. Yeah.
You know
you
what
don't
I
want
mean?
people to think that you're struggling. You don't want people
Yeah,
to think
yeah.
For
that
sure.
you have a certain amount of money in your account. You
Yeah.
want to always look good. It's like
Thank
when
you. And-
when you're at work and it's Wednesday and you're getting paid on Thursday, but everyone is like, "Oh, let's go for lunch,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Yo, my girlfriend took her time to cook to get me a lunch. I ain't finna eat outside."
Yeah.
Yeah, but you broke. We
Yeah,
broke.
that's
We
it.
broke. We
Straight up.
all broke.
Trying to
Can't
make
afford
excuses.
it.
Broke.
There you
Well,
go.
we all struggling. I
Yep.
mean, we all, yep.
That's it.
I know the feeling. Yeah, but you gotta look good.
You gotta
Yeah,
look
for
good.
sure.
Look good.
So I had to look good, and that this
You don't
also
have any pictures with that gold tooth in the book, do you?
absolutely not. I don't even have any pictures. Like I don't even need pictures from like even before 5 years ago because
Oh my gosh.
because my life in the end, after all of you know this outside stuff and you know the criminal activity and the money and all of these stuff on the outside, after all of that, it came to addiction and it came to zero. So then my pictures weren't important anymore. Nothing was important anymore. So I mean, in the end, 5 years ago when I wrote the book, I was starting at zero basically.
Okay.
You know, and
So wait, explain a little bit. So you're out, you're doing your own thing with mostly Jamaican
yes, absolutely at that
girls
time.
and guys, right?
Living
You had
your
Jamaican
life.
girlfriends as well.
Going through high school, right? Going through
Okay.
high school, and you know, but these girls that the ladies that I was hanging with, the 3 sisters, they were basically really good girls. You know, I mean, one of them was my partner in crime. However, like we would go shoplift
Like
together. and-
literally.
yeah.
People out there. For real. Like
Like
for
real crime.
Like real crime.
Absolutely.
Like some real dumb, like real shit.
Absolutely.
You going hard.
Listen, let me tell you, when Cavendish Mall opened up, we went there, me and this same girl, you know, we went to Cavendish Mall, we cleaned up, right? We
What
cleaned
did
up.
they have at Cavendish? I
So
guess
at
back in the
time,
day, it
listen,
must have been
It was
hot.
like the only thing, right? The back in the day, it was like the Bay and Sears were stores. Like that's it. Like you didn't have like.
So you went down there and got your fishnets.
You know, listen to this. We would go in the changing room. So we had our, you know, and thinking it's nothing new. Like we would go in the changing room and put a pants under our pants, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it wasn't no bag thing yet. You know, it was just like doing this thing like undercover. And one time we were leaving there, and like we got chased and bumped, and you know, and that's like one of the times where I said like I fought for her. You know what I'm saying? I was like fighting, and we ran in different directions, and we didn't get caught that day. I must say, no, we got away.
Okay.
So, but I remember Cavendish Mall had just opened up, and so anyway. I don't know where I'm going with this. You
Anyway,
guys,
but these girls basically became like your
they
family.
were my
Like, these were your
sisters. They were my
yeah,
family.
They were your
Absolutely.
ride or dies. Like
Yeah,
we're
we
rolling.
were
I'm
ride
rolling,
and die
like,
chicks for sure.
yeah.
And I learned how to press clothes. I learned how to.
Oh my gosh, the
wash.
fact that you say press clothes alone is so West Indian of you. Like I
Yeah,
get
like-
shivers. Like
But listen to this. I never saw an iron before I met those girls, right? Because like, right?
what
I mean-
about lotion? Did you clean your skin?
Lotion, forget that. What about bathing and washing panty? What? Are you nuts? My panty was like on the floor in the washing machine. No, none of that. So I learned all of this from those young ladies, right? So look, and I heard about Jamaica on and on and on, and I ate the food, and they were like, yo, when did I grow up, and you know, and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, that sounds like paradise, like me. I got to go there one day.
gotta go
You
there
know,
one day.
I got to go there one day. And then, so I ended up graduating from Northmount High School up in Côte-des-Neiges with all of my girls. We all graduated, and
The same girls who were stealing panty and stuff from
They-
they all graduated.
we all graduated.
There
you
you
know what I
go.
mean? Two, like they were before me, but they graduated, and we were still hanging out and everything like that, and everything like that.
What,
And
if I may, I mean, your mom was not.
she
in the
wasn't
picture.
present.
She wasn't present.
No.
What made you actually want to go to school and finish and graduate?
It's a very good question.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it feels like you have to force kids sometimes
For sure.
and stuff.
It's a very good question.
You had no obligations and you still went there.
Yeah, I think it's because of the girls were going. You know,
That's
the
dope.
girls.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
also,
see.
I went to live with the older sister, and she was like, "You have to go to school." So you know, because and now what I know now from Jamaica is like school is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, school, books, books, books. You know, there's songs like that. There's songs about
Yeah.
it, like books, school, like you know. And after living, so I actually went to live there one day, but. By living there, I saw the same thing. School is very important. Even when you have your last dollar, you're going to give it to your child so they can go to school.
Yeah, that's
You know,
how it
so so that was her attitude. It was like, and so I joined in that. That was my family. So I wanted to go to school. You know, and I'm sure that she probably even said to me, "If you don't go to school, you can't stay here."
That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Like, in the midst of all your, I mean, you guys are still young, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
call it criminal yet, you
Yeah.
know? But
It was, though.
it was. It definitely it is. It's
Yeah.
against the law, so
Yeah.
it does
There was
mean it's
definitely the
criminal.
criminal element.
But I mean, so many kids do stuff like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So they didn't like set you apart at that time. It's just
No.
like you were doing what young stupid people do. Let's say.
Yeah, and
But
still going to
the
school.
importance of going to school was still there, and you followed through.
Yes, I did.
And I guess you knew at that time too. Like they mean a lot to me. So if they're telling me to do something, I'm gonna do
gonna
it
do it.
because that's your family,
Yeah,
right?
and they did it. So you know, they
And
had
they
led
were
by
also
example.
they weren't not just sending her.
No,
were
they were
also doing
it. They
So
were
that's
practicing what they
something-
preach.
Yeah, you got lucky on that part. Bro.
Yeah, I really believe that. It was
It
really a
could've
blessing
been-
because
yeah.
I don't think like, if I had stayed with my mom, I probably would have like rebelled in a way where not going to school because I
No,
didn't have
exactly.
to. Who was going to send me, you know? So I had that and continued to, of course, stay in that culture and gravitate towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated at 16 and I was pregnant with my first child.
At the same age.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in my mind, and I must be honest, is that I said, I'm not going to let anyone know because if they knew I was pregnant, they would have sent me to Elizabeth House, which is for pregnant
okay,
girls.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. So I'm like, you know what? If I don't finish school now, I might never do it. So I did it. And then they found out in the end, but they're like, okay, we're going to let you take the exams because you're already here. It was June when they probably found out, and they're like, okay, we're going to let you. Yeah. So I actually ended up finishing school with my first pregnancy. And so that's when everything really started to happen.
So at the age of 16, you were not necessarily addicted to any drugs at that point.
No, I
You had
think we smoked a
experimented.
little bit of weed
Okay.
and cracked up a bit and maybe had the munchies and stuff, but there was nothing, no, there was no addiction
Okay.
at that point.
So your first child was not like a crack baby or
No.
none of that.
None of that. I believe I for the whole pregnancy, I might have smoked like a couple of spliffs, like maybe 4 or 5. You know what I mean? I was very careful. It was
Okay.
my first baby. I was like really excited. I was like, super excited. I was very careful.
Okay.
Okay.
No drugs, but I think that my first addiction was the stealing. If we look back, that I was still stealing too much of everything. Like, you know what I
Too
mean?
much of
Yeah,
everything.
it's like you go to the store to get some chicken, and I got to take like chicken, beef, and everything else, right? So it's like
So you're stealing groceries too.
Oh, for sure. At that
Oh.
point, because now I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have a baby. I'm living with
Yeah.
the baby daddy. We have to get groceries, and it's like we didn't have money to buy groceries. I think.
So how old was the father?
Yeah, well, that's a really pretty sad story, because he was like pretty older. He was about, I think he was like 26
And you
when
were
I met
16.
him. When I met him, I was 14.
Okay.
And he was like 26, and when I had her, so like he was 28 and I was 16. But to me, it was totally normal because all of my friends, I was hanging out with
older people.
Right.
So
So
they're
the
the
guys
same age as.
The guys were older too,
Yeah.
right? And then they'd be asking me, how old are you? I'd be like, I'm 16, I'm 17, That's what I did.
just normal.
So, I can't put it all on this guy.
No.
However, I do feel that, he took advantage of the situation, in where he didn't, and I'm not talking about the baby. I was super grateful to be pregnant. Like,
So wait, if you guys didn't have food for groceries and stuff, how did you have food to get high? like a couple times a week.
Gotta take care of the munchies.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think, and he began to like sell weed a bit, you know, and he began to sell weed. So, but it would basically support his habit of smoking. Like
So
at
he
that,
was getting high on his own supply.
oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Don't do that. We don't do that.
Never get high on your own supply.
Don't get on your own supply.
Yeah, so there you go. So I didn't learn that then either, right? So like that's kind of like what was going on. So he was smoking a lot more weed than I was. Like I told you, at that point in time, I think that my addiction was more about what we have to eat, what I have to wear, what do I look like, what my baby has, you know, what we need for the house. My addiction was more and more things.
Yeah.
Material.
Yeah.
My addiction was material stuff. You know, I think that the real addiction, like, you know, didn't come until afterwards. So I had my daughter, and then I went to Jamaica a year after. So she was born in September, and I went to Jamaica the next year, like July or August. So I was 17 or something. I was really young the first time I went there. And then, of course, I met a guy there. And I was like, okay, this guy in Canada is nothing compared to this.
Because you met like a Canadian Jamaican. Then now you're reading a real Jamaican.
Right?
Jamaican.
And they're so
Yeah.
much more appealing. Their accent is stronger.
No, and he was
They're
my
more
age,
fit.
right?
Really?
Only because my
Accent?
husband's Jamaican, I know.
That
The accent gets you every time. What?
But anyways,
Everything.
no, I don't think it's the accent. What happened to me?
It's the dreads.
I already knew the accent, right? Because when I
Why
got
would
there,
you think he had dreads? Just because he's
don't-
Jamaican, he has dreads?
What? No, that's not. What. That's not exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just like going through things.
Wait, did he
well,
have
actually, there
dreads?
wasn't a lot of dreads then. It was mostly
Okay.
bald heads
She
then.
said then.
Yeah.
That-
Okay.
Back then.
All
Back
right.
then.
Back then.
That
Okay.
changed, you know.
Okay.
But that changed.
Yeah, yeah.
of you.
Because
All right.
enough of them started to be dreads to be like what they call a rent-a-dread, right? You heard about those, right? So that became a thing. Rent-a-dread. So,
Whoa,
you know.
wait. I heard about it. Obviously, Day knows about it.
Yeah.
You know about it. But
Yeah.
For the people listening to our show,
Explain
Okay.
what a rent-a-dread
what's
is.
a rent-a-dread?
All right. Yes, I will explain this because to me it was like a shock. You know, it was like going against the culture,
I
right?
feel like you're about to shock a whole lot.
Yeah. Because when
rent-a-dread.
if we talk about the first time I went there, so it was 1984, right? If you met someone who had dreadlocks, they were like a Rasta man. They were like, you know, basically probably not eating very much meat. They were like vegetarian. They were Ital. You know, that's the kind of Rasta man I knew about when I first went to Jamaica. Those are the kind, you know. And then, you know, as the years progressed, so let's say when I actually moved there in 95. So 84 is the first time I go, I meet the Rasta man, you know, he's a 12 tribes and, you know, Ital and everything like that. You know, them kind of things, right? I'm telling you, he's very, you know, very cool. And, you know, I was going to say, not suck no pussy for sure.
Oh.
Like, that's not happening, right? And then
Because now they do.
right, this is
Yeah,
where we
this
get
is
to the
not-
rent-a-dread.
okay, I'll let
This
you
is where we
finish.
get to the rent-a-dread. Okay, so the
right.
rent-a-dread now, he's looking for a wife from foreign, you know. He might look one whitey if he got married to if he go foreign. So to him, if he have to suck pussy and a nothing that, you understand what I mean? Because he might get to suck that pussy, get on the plane. Yeah, so that's okay for him. So this is and so this is what a rent-a-dread is
I
to
can't. I'm done.
Wow. Okay,
That's what happened.
They sucked them pussy in order to
I
get
know.
on the plane.
Well,
I
believe
mean, you
some of
asked her
them.
to get into details so
Yeah.
people could
I did.
understand, but after what she said, I think people are more confused than ever.
Oh, maybe they're more confused.
I got the entire thing, but it's all good.
Do
I'm
we
here
need to,
for
should we
my.
explain?
You might. I mean, I understood. I know my
I don't know
things.
if we
I know my stuff. You know. I mean, you people have been listening to Day and Night. You guys know how cultivated a brother
my
is. You know how I
goodness.
do, right? Right? All
Okay.
right.
But-
But for the, I mean,
Well, it looks
all
like
right.
Eric
so-
understands exactly what we're saying,
He
right?
probably does, but
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
behind the camera, so let's
Okay.
not make him shine.
Okay.
All right,
Okay, so
so
you met this Jamaican,
Yes.
and he
okay.
was not. He was.
He was not a rent-a-dread.
he
He was
was
a
not.
bald head, and he was like a gangster, and
Okay.
he was like from the ghetto, and he was like down, like, and yeah, I fell in love like hard.
And he don't yam pum pum.
No, I didn't
No.
even go there. I wouldn't even know. How would I know? Because that wasn't in my culture either. At that time, there was no nyamming pum pum going on.
All right.
Me.
She
said-
Yeah.
The real ones don't.
people, help. Yumming boom boom? Yum. I mean,
That's
Okay.
what she's saying. That's what she said. The
This
real,
is
the
where they
rented
say it.
Jamaicans. Yeah.
Or nyamanda tiabu. You ever heard that one?
where are you?
Okay. Let's rewind.
Okay.
Rewind. Okay.
Do the
So,
time bit.
rewind.
Oh, damn.
So In 1984, when I go there.
84. You're
Right.
there.
I meet a bald-head guy.
Bald-head.
He's 18 and I'm 17. So to me, you know, we're like on the same level. He's super cool. He's a gangster. He's ghetto. He's everything that I want to know about. You know, it's exciting. So there's all this adventure, you know. So I meet this guy. And like at first, I didn't go there to meet a guy. You know, I'm leaving my baby daddy's there with the baby in Canada. And I'm going to Jamaica just to see what's going on, right? But when I met this guy, and to be honest, when I first met him, I was like, nah. Nothing there. But after a few days of hanging out with him, you know, and going to the beach, et cetera, I was like, wow, you know, this guy, you know, he's hot. Yeah. So something started to happen, you know, and like, and then we connected.
And you have your boyfriend at home in Canada with your daughter.
She called it baby dad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But you guys were living
she
together.
said baby dad.
Yeah, we were living together. Yes, we
so
were.
he's more.
And she called him baby dad.
But Day, I called home. I got to tell you guys so like I might as well tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So I called home to see what was going on with the baby, et cetera. I called home, and one of my girls was there helping with the baby, with the baby daddy, right? So I called home to see what's going on. She's like,
you know
he's all over me. He's all over me. You know, he tried to get with me, my baby daddy. So I'm like, what? He tried to get with you?
Oh, no.
Right? So like now I'm in Jamaica and I'm like with this guy and I'm like he's looking cute and now he's looking cuter. His baby daddy's over
he
there.
upset you?
Yeah. So I'm like
of
okay. I'm like you know what? Click. Bye. And then boom.
I hope all the guys listening, I hope you guys get it. Don't make other niggas look better, guys.
This is kind of like how Stella got her groove back, but your groove was never gone.
Kinda,
right?
I feel it.
Because she goes out there and meets like a real
one.
Like
I
yeah.
see it.
And then the Canadian one is looking so whack to you now, right?
Yeah, like now he's just looking like a total loser, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he tried to hit your friend, which probably didn't help.
Yeah, like, you know, like he should have told her, like, don't say anything to Lily, right? Because, like, if you say, you know what I mean? Like, that should have been, but I'm glad he didn't. Because this changed, now a whole new world opened up for me. And,
But this was also like somewhat of a traumatic time for you, right? Like, because you did have some kind of connection to him.
You're right.
So you weren't really happy about
No,
this.
I was upset.
Yeah, you were upset.
I was
Okay.
very angry and I was pissed off. And then the opportunity came for me to cheat, right? With this guy, because he tried to think.
Opportunity?
Yeah. You didn't see the opportunity. Like, I saw it right there.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, why is he confused?
What opportunity?
See how guys think they
Listen,
never
because
get it. They never
the
get it.
bald head guy in Jamaica tried a ting.
Okay.
Tried to ting with me.
Okay,
and I was like,
get that.
you know, and I was like, now I'm hurting and I'm angry because of baby daddy. So I'm like, you know
whoa,
what?
So you justify cheating?
Well, I'm 17 years old,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that makes sense. I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You know
17
what?
years old, so I'm like,
Live your life, baby girl. You know,
Yeah, it's
live your
like
life like
YOLO.
it's golden.
and
Live your life
can I
like
tell
it's
you
golden.
something? This was the first time that I knew what sex was. Because I actually had an orgasm with this guy.
I was about to say, you knew what sex was before you had a kid.
No, but now it was real
This
sex.
is real sex. Okay, I get it now.
This was fun. This wasn't like, get the hell off of me, hurry up.
This is a real thing.
It was like, when am
Wait,
I going to
that's a
see you again?
because he was all about pleasuring you.
What?
Like,
He was amazing,
You
man.
see her
Like,
face?
yo.
You see her face? She's like there. Right now, she's
Oh,
not
wait.
here.
That was
there.
in 84. We're in 2019. and
2019.
She's still
She's there.
talking about
She
you, my
needs
brother.
water.
She's
Her
still
throat is
talking
dry.
about
She
that
needs
dick,
water.
brother.
You saw that? She's
Yo, you done killed
automatically
it, brother.
dehydrated. You saw that?
Yeah, yo, you change your culture, brother.
All right, that was
Keep
my
it tough.
first real love.
Okay,
This
okay,
guy
okay.
was like
So after that,
the
it was
bomb.
on. It was
and,
on.
And you know what? To be honest, if I look back on things, it's because it's all about feelings. Because that was the first orgasm I had, but it was never the last
Well,
one.
of
right?
course
right?
not.
So
Now
I
we
had
gotta
lots
step it
more.
up.
And he was not the only one to do it. So there you go. So I think it was about feelings and you know and the age thing and everything put together and so it made like for
see.
really nice things. Right?
Nice things, huh?
And then this guy tells me, the same guy tells me, you know, that he's about to get a visa to come to Canada. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're too full of shit.
A visa from you? Or
No,
he had
that's
a-
what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
why, like, to me, I'm like, no, you're not. How are
Okay.
you gonna do that? You're 18 years old. You're so young. I didn't believe him.
My
And
brother
he's-
trying to get them papers, man.
Right, but he was already doing that. He didn't want it from me. He didn't need to be no rented dread. He was already looking about his papers. But I didn't really believe until the day like he got off the plane. So then his brother, he did come.
Oh.
You know, and then so like right away.
And he came looking for you.
Well, no, I
You were looking for him
yeah,
after that
yeah,
orgasm? My
No,
girl was
no,
at
to
the
be,
airport.
To be, like straight. I said, baby daddy. I didn't even tell him nothing, man. I pack up and gone when he wasn't there, and I left baby daddy like fast.
What?
Yeah, I did that at 17. I was still 17, I believe, or maybe turning 18, just turning 18 when this guy came. So it was
And
just
you
a
were
few months
gone.
later. It was a few months later, and I was gone.
Okay.
But he actually, baby daddy was not as foolish as I may like to make him seem. He followed the truck. He wasn't there when everything was happening, but I believe he came and saw the truck and whatever, followed the truck, and you know, yeah. So, things didn't go very beautifully, but it was, the way it is. Drama and shit happens,
Okay, so you left baby daddy, I guess. And you ended up with your new visa Jamaican in Canada.
There you go.
Who could throw it down the way you like.
Yeah, and who was like, and like I said, he was definitely gangsterism and into the criminal thing. So
what part of Jamaica was he from, by the way?
He was from Montego Bay still.
Ah.
Yeah, that baby daddy was from Kingston, like the heart of Kingston.
Yeah, but baby daddy was from Canada, really?
Not
Canadian?
Really, though,
no?
still,
Okay.
Not really. Like, he was from Kingston. When I met him, he might have been in Canada like maybe a year or two.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't fully, no way. He was still Jamaican, man.
Okay.
Like, totally, like, on that vibe. But this one here was more of a gangster and more of his dad was a politician, so you know how it is in politics. So like, he had a gun early. He was, making his way that way and etc. And that, for me, I fell in love with that too.
Of course.
So I didn't only fall in love with the man, I fell in love with that gangster mentality.
I see.
So at that young age, I got that.
Okay.
So when I came back, I was like, this guy, the baby daddy, he couldn't talk to me no more. I was there, I was ready, I was like, fuck you. This is what I'm doing now, right? And I was gone.
And you took your daughter with you.
I took my daughter with me, and
how was it for him to like let his daughter go with you, knowing like who knows what's gonna happen? The next man might be raising his daughter. How was that?
Yeah, there was a lot of drama and chaos.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
Usually that's how
drama.
it happens.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama and chaos.
But all right, so now you're 18.
Yeah.
You're back from Jamaica.
Right.
Baby daddy gone.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
trying a thing with this new one, and
Trying a
et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, there was too much drama and chaos, and there was a lot of things going on, guns here, guns there. And I said, so I talked to one of my girlfriends, and we're thinking like, maybe we're gonna move to Toronto now, and see if we could get a job, and like start to think different, and start to move. And then and gangster, he's gonna come with me. He's like, yeah, let's go try Toronto, and but that didn't work out. Like, he didn't come. I ended up going to Toronto without gangster.
With your daughter?
Yeah, with my daughter.
Alone,
and my
just
friend.
you two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up doing that, and that was really, really a rude awakening, because I thought that, that guy was the one for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at such a young age, I guess it was so that was my first real heartbreak, to be honest.
So during all this time, it seems like you're just kind of going with the flow. You're like, whoever looks the best and giving it to you the best, you're going to roll with it.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
I
And
think
then, so when did the drugs start coming into your life? Like you
Okay,
said,
so
you
that's
just
when I moved to Toronto.
Okay.
So I moved to Toronto now. Now there's not as much, like, I don't have a guy, right? And the ones that I do see, like, I'm not feeling anything like solid, like to be in a relationship with. It's just like, moving around, like, fooling around, and then moving on, not sleeping over. And nobody's sleeping at my house.
Yeah,
Nobody's coming to my house anymore, because I'm not feeling that. I haven't found anyone. So there's the loneliness, right? And then the fact that in Toronto it's very big, and I don't know much people, and et cetera, et cetera. So I do end up bucking up on a guy. As I was telling you, I paid down on some gold, right?
Yeah.
So
For the tooth.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the tooth didn't come yet, but I paid down on this gold. So I go over there and I actually get a job, right? So I'm starting to do things different, but I'm still stealing, like, for my clothes and shit. Not gonna pay for that. And and so I'm still in the criminal mentality, but not
Other
gone.
than stealing clothes,
I still haven't gone, like, to a next level. And I start going to this club every weekend with one of my girls that I met there, and I start going, and I see this guy every week there, and I'm like, wow, man, he's so cute, right? So it's the cute thing, and he's hot, and I like how this guy looks, blah, blah, blah. Never talks to me, until I get the gold.
Until you got the gold tooth?
Literally until, no, not the tooth yet.
Not the tooth. I'm just excited about the tooth. I can't get over the tooth. I'm just
The
trying
tooth
to
is
imagine your
years
face
later.
with the gold tooth. I'm just trying to
No, this didn't happen yet. No, this was just
So
like
you said
paying
gold
down
jewelry.
on a chain, ring on every finger, earrings, etc. So I paid down on it for a year. So I met this guy maybe after 6 months of paying down for it. I saw this guy, but he didn't see me until I had the
until
gold.
you saw he really saw the gold.
Yeah, he saw the gold that
Yeah.
night, right? And so, and the night that he talked to me, and I was like, oh wow, he talked to me, and I'm like, oh, So anyhow, what happened after that is that, so I get on a thing with him, and we start a thing, and he's using crack. This guy's using crack, right? And for me, when I left Montreal, I knew people that had started using crack. It just sort of became a thing when I was leaving Montreal. Before that, I never heard from it. I never heard of it. But the people that I knew here that were using it had become like zombies, had become like whatless, had become like, no more ambition, had become like, they just looked bad, and I would like say, I never want to be like that. I don't want to hang around with people like that. I would be like, so I was judgmental, right? I was like, I'm never going to hang with those people. I never want to talk to them. If I would see them on the street, I would cross the street.
Exactly.
You know,
Until
that
you
kind of thing.
meet one
Till I
and
meet
you
this guy
feel like he's
that I
cute.
think, yeah, he's cute.
And he has a good vibe.
Like there's a good-looking crackhead out there.
You know what I mean?
I want that one.
Yeah, he didn't look like one.
That's what I'm saying. Of course, that's what you always want.
He didn't look like one.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that
I didn't know. I didn't know until like
Okay.
he told me, right? So and now by this time he's already coming to my house. You know,
Okay.
like I've already invited him. Like I was saying, the other ones I wouldn't invite or whatever.
invite
So this
him,
guy I
right,
invited to
okay.
my house, and then he's like, you know, this is what I'm doing. He was like, you know, and he was like, you know, can I do it here? And I'm like, oh my God, like.
Oh my God, he's so cute. Let him do it.
Yeah, actually, right? Probably. And not only that, it's the codependency, right? It's like wanting to have someone and feeling like, you know, this guy, if he does,
If I let him do
this
maybe he'll
here,
leave.
yeah,
Exactly.
So
And
if
I got
let
all
him-
this gold. I worked so hard to have him.
So
I don't
now
want to
you,
just let him
you
walk
tell
out.
him what you think he wants to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, you know what? What I said was, I'd rather you do it here than you're out there doing it. Yeah.
With the next gal.
That probably came into my mind too, but I was like, you know, you can do it here. So, and I'm there with my daughter, and like, you know, so like things started to go downhill right there. If you know, like if I let that happen, that's like leaving the door open for other shit. But I didn't know that at that time, at that age.
You're 18, right?
Yeah,
At this
like
point, you're
18.
And he's how old?
I think I might be 19 because if I look back on my history, I can say that I started smoking crack at 19. Like that's in my head.
Okay.
So I must have been turned 19 when I met this guy. Right, and so I'm 19. He's using, and then you know one of the times I'm like, well, you know, I want to try it too. And I must say that the first time or the second time he said no. He said no, I don't want to let you do this. You know, it's gonna ruin you. It's gonna ruin your life.
Man, he didn't want to share.
Thank you.
I'm kidding. What?
No.
Serious?
He didn't want to lose. Like I'm working, I'm making money. I have a car. I have, you know, so I have very used to him. As you know, he didn't see me until the gold. So for him, it's like
He's looking long term.
Yes.
Like she could provide
he's
for
looking
me.
at what you know what I can do for him.
Yeah.
So
he did have ambition.
Yes, he did. He's like, I'm not going to give her any crack because then what would I have, right?
Was
So,
he much older than you?
I think he was like probably maybe 10 years or something, or
Okay.
8 years older than me.
Okay.
But he had been doing it for a few years.
And he's
he
a
had
pro.
been on it for a few years. So this was his MO, you know, going around meeting girls and getting what he could out of it. And then, you know, but absolutely in the book I write that. I'm like, you know, at first he didn't want me to use because then he wouldn't have what I had. He wouldn't have my
Right.
things, you know.
Right.
So, but eventually he caved, right? Because then I guess he realized that if he let me use, then I would go use all my money. Because when I'm not using, I'm like, you know, you can only have this. And there's a limit.
Facts.
But once I started to use, there was
You're
no limit.
foggy and you're like, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, right? And no, not only that, once I started to use, I had no limits. I needed more.
Exactly.
I needed it. So it wasn't about him. So I actually got rid of him and kept the crack habit. Yeah, because, yeah.
You lost.
Yeah, he lost there. Yeah, so that's what happened.
So now you're in Toronto with your daughter alone, and now you're
And I'm
addicted
using-
on crack?
Yeah.
Addicted to crack or
Yeah, it
not
didn't take
yet?
long. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it
doesn't
didn't take me long at all.
How long did it take? How many times do you think you used before you knew, like, okay, I need this?
Well, I think because at the time when I started to use, so I was still working, and I think within 2 months I wasn't able to keep going to
Even
work.
go to work?
Yeah, I wasn't able to keep going to work.
So what did it actually do to you? Like, it...
Yeah, what's
it
the
just,
feeling?
How do you explain it?
I mean, I could do no drugs and not be able to go to work. 'Cause but with the drugs, with the drugs.
Imagine.
Like,
So what happened to me is that when I started to use it, as you know, and it would progress. So when I first started to use it, I would like maybe stop at 1 a.m, you know, when like I had no more money in the bank, or you know, and then the next time when it progressed, I would stop at 3 a.m. when I had no more dealers to front from. You know what I'm saying? And the next time it would be like 5 a.m. So like I'm not getting any more sleep. I don't want to go to work, so I'll call in sick. I just won't go. I'm just being unreliable now. I'm unreliable because I don't want to get up. You know.
And your daughter is... Sorry, what age now?
So my daughter is, so if I'm 19, so she was about 2.5.
So when you're not going to work, like, I guess she went to daycare at that time?
She was going to daycare. She was going to daycare. But before it progressed to the point where I was really, really bad, her godmother came and got her.
Oh,
her
she knew
godmother
that.
came. Yeah,
Okay.
she could tell once my phone got cut off. She was like she couldn't reach me anymore. She knew like something was
Something
up.
was wrong.
Yeah, and she
good.
came and
Her
she took,
godmother was one of your Jamaican girlfriends from Montreal?
well, she was actually one of my Canadian friends from Montreal.
From Montreal.
But we moved down there together to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
And then she ended up coming back to Montreal.
Okay.
And so, you know, she kind of felt it out. She came and got my daughter. She brought her back to Montreal with her. And I was like, and I wasn't even like, oh, I'm going to miss my daughter. I was like so glad.
relieved.
I was like, wow, now I can go do this all
And
the
not
time.
have to worry about her.
All the
Yeah.
time. I don't have to feed her. I don't have to wake up with her. I don't have to think
Oh
about
my
her anymore.
gosh.
And that's what happened. I didn't think about her anymore. I just thought about using and how to get money to use, right?
Use, that's it.
So after, you know, so there now I'm not working anymore. I have a car that I financed, right? So I have to be paying for the car every month. So I have the car. So this helps me to be a booster where, you know, so I'm shoplifting now every day to sell the goods, to get my drugs, to pay my car, to pay my rent, to everything, you know. And so I'm boosting every day now. So of course I'm getting caught. So I have a few little jail sentences going on. Like things are starting to hit the fan.
So you
you
get
know?
locked. What? So how old are you when you get first locked up?
Well, my first sentence, I think as soon as I turned 18, I got a sentence, I believe.
Well, happy birthday, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, you mentioned that the title of your book was 7-Time Rising, right? Would you consider this part to be your first time falling?
Absolutely. My first time
so that's
falling.
your first
Yes.
time. So
Yeah.
we're at the first time.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
We're at the first time, and it's
Okay.
like, you know, and I fell like so far right away. As I was saying, it didn't take me long before, you know, shoplifting wasn't enough because my
Enough,
rent
yeah.
wasn't being paid anymore. My car payments were done. I actually mashed up that car on you know, getting off of the highway on one of those, you know, the exit of the highway, right? I mashed up the car and I left it there. I was like, well, you know what? The drugs are over there. The car could stay here. I'm going to get my drugs.
Nothing else mattered.
No,
Nothing.
So my car got towed. It was sent to the pound. It was like impounded and sold. And then and I still owed for that car. But who cared? I didn't care. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care
Okay,
about
and
nothing.
I have to go back for 1 second because you said you got locked up at 18.
Yeah.
So how long was that first sentence?
Okay, so when I got locked up at 18, it wasn't for. I hadn't started using yet, right?
Okay.
So it was like it was still from just the shoplifting around,
Oh, okay.
general things like
Okay,
my
yeah.
clothes, et cetera, et
You're
cetera.
just starting to get caught.
Yeah, I was starting to get caught. Thank you. Like I got caught once when I was a juvenile, but like they didn't. It was my first time. I got to do community service. You know, the first when I was a juvenile.
So you didn't spend any real time inside for that? No.
The first time I got caught, I spent like a weekend as a juvenile.
Okay.
And I must say, I did cry for the whole weekend.
It was
Like,
scary in there.
it was bad, you know. And I had just found out I was pregnant, so I was very emotional, and I was like, so I was really crying for the whole weekend. And I did the community service, but I was still stealing. It did not deter me from stealing. You know, so then I go to Toronto and I get in trouble at 18, and the judge gives me 15 days of weekends. So I had to do like 2 weekends of
like
jail. You know,
7
But so-
times and a half.
yeah. But
Why are
it was
you
a-
so familiar with that? That
Well,
was
I don't know what you're
kinda-
talking
you
about.
just broke that down so
I don't-
quickly,
I don't-
so
what's
quickly.
Up, what's up, yo?
It's okay.
Do
We're
you
not,
know my name
it's
in
not
the
about
streets?
you. It's okay. We
Do
can
you
leave
know
that
my
aside. We'll
name
talk about that
in
later.
He doesn't really
You-
know because
name
you
in
saw
the
that, right?
He doesn't really know because he's talking about 7 times. When you get 15 days weekends, I only did 2 weekends. You know what I mean? Because out of 15 days, you do 2/3, which makes it 10. And here to how they count the weekend. So I go in Friday, and I come out so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I come out Monday morning. They call that 4 days.
All right, Liane, you done mess up my rep.
It's crazy.
I was building this rep in the streets.
It ain't happening.
Yeah, I was raised by the stop sign. You went and messed my. It's all good.
I'm so
I
sorry,
mean,
man. But this is all about honesty now. I'm done with
Honestly, I'm
Streets
tired of
know.
hiding myself.
The streets know.
There you
You
go.
know,
I
we know.
hope.
So
we know.
15 days. So I did 2 weekends, and that didn't deter me either. Like, to be honest, like, it was pretty rough though. I remember going to those weekends. This is in Toronto, right? And most of the girls that did those weekends with me were crackheads, you know? And I was like, wow, I'm so glad. I'm like, imagine. I'm like looking, I'm like, I'm so glad that's not me. You know, I'm
You're still
better.
judging them.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm so glad that's not me. I have cigarettes. You know what I mean? They're going in there. They have nothing there. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that's not me. And then a year later, that's me. And I'm getting in trouble, and I'm starting to shoplift, and I'm getting violent because when they want to catch me, I'm like, no. So I'm fighting, I'm threatening, I'm doing
You're
all
fighting
kinds
the police.
I'm fighting, well, the people in the stores.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I haven't started fighting police yet, but
Okay.
not that didn't happen, but not yet. Now I'm fighting the people in the stores, and I'm like, and I remember the serious charge that I got is that I said to a lady, because she came out of the store to follow me, and I'm like, and I was cursing and I was going on and everything, and she came and took my license plate. And I'm like, I'll juke your eyes out if you take my license plate. And I'm threatening her. And so when the cops came to arrest me, she just took it anyways. They came to arrest me. They charged me with armed robbery.
What were you armed with?
No,
The words?
yeah, it was the threats. Yeah, it was. Was
I
it?
thought armed robbery had to have an actual.
Or no. I've been charged with armed robbery more than once. And the last time they told me, I said to the cop, well, what was the arm? And then he's like, your body. So.
I agree.
But I believe
Women's body? That's a weapon. Y'all can do things.
Okay, but
Good and bad.
better to do good, right?
Yo,
That
good
is
for
right.
her.
Look at his
Better-
face.
it's
That
better
is
to
correct.
do good things. But I wasn't doing any good things with my body at that time. In general, because I'm using drugs, so I'm messing up my health, and I'm using my body as a force to get what I want, criminally. So, and to be honest, if I think about it, in Toronto, that first charge that I got, it may have been assault with robbery or something like that. Toronto might have worded it different, but definitely in Quebec they charged me with armed robbery when I fought someone.
Okay.
But this is my first serious charge where I don't get out right away on a promise to appear. They're like, no, you're gonna need bail and et cetera, et cetera. So it was a bit more of a charge. And then I graduated to bigger endeavors because shoplifting was not good enough anymore. Because now I get locked up and I owe all this money to dealers, plus I want to use, so shoplifting is not getting it anymore. So I start to move on to bigger things, which would be actual armed robbery, which would be, whatever I can do, which importing was the next thing. Because with importing, I get like a few things all together in that. So I get a bigger amount of money.
I'm about to take notes. No, I'm joking. I'm like, go ahead.
Right.
You saw that, right? I got my pen out.
I'm joking. But you taking notes for real.
For us.
Well, actually,
It's recorded.
that's true. That's true. You guys can go and revise it after, and then
True.
take what you need out of it.
Yeah, but this is back in the 80s, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. And not only
They
that,
tightened up big time.
but not only that, I remember I told you guys 5 years ago I ended up with nothing. So all of the money that I made and all of whatever I did over the years with the importing and the drugs, etc., it still came to zero.
But up until 5 years ago, you still had some.
No, 5 years ago when I stopped using drugs,
Yeah.
I had nothing to show for
Oh, okay,
everything
okay.
that I've done. And I've done a lot of stuff.
A lot.
So, you know what I mean? So like now start the
So you
importing.
needed a better accountant. Is what you're
Oh
saying.
my God, I needed to not be using, right?
That could
but
help.
but even so, over the years, there were times when I wasn't using and I was importing, and still like I end up going to jail. So then when I come out, I still got to start over. I got to pay the lawyer. I got to and so like to be honest,
It's like a never-ending cycle.
yes, it was. It was.
So you had to cut something at some point.
Yeah.
Right?
I had to make a decision to change everything, So importing became my way. So as I was saying, it had nice things that were attached to it, which was the money was bigger. I got to go to Jamaica, right? For the to go and bring it back. And so I got a vacation. I got to go to Jamaica. I got money when I came back.
So what drug were you importing?
I was always importing ganja. Ganja was the thing.
And you used to get it in Jamaica.
I would go there for someone else. I would go and get it I would be the, what do they call it now? Because I
Not the
can't
mule.
even remember. The mule, thank you. I can't even remember anymore, right? Because it was really a long time ago. So that was me. And so I was the one. I would also go to the States and bring back cocaine from the States. Or
Would you drive or always fly?
I flew. Yeah. And I also, when I go to the States, I would travel between states and bring drugs from New York to Virginia.
And you're how old at this time?
Well, now I'm getting to my 20s, 2021, right?
Okay.
So that's what I began to do, was be transporting drugs. That was my thing.
And so how did you bring it? Did you ingest it?
Not
Did
right
you-
away.
No.
Like I first started to bring it was like through packaging from Jamaica, and from the States I would like plug it. So plug it is like you put it in a condom, you wrap it up properly, you plug it in that pussy, nobody could see it.
Oh,
You rinse it.
pussy, of course.
Oh, of course, when you say pussy, he wakes up. Okay, disgusting.
No. 'Cause
Disgusting.
that's
No,
not it.
you're
Why-
disgusting.
Why you're trying to make me look bad?
And then, he's like, oh yeah, pussy. Like, no, we're still
guys,
talking.
okay,
Hello,
I know
come
you
back to
people
the
are-
show.
I know
Come
you
back to
people
the show.
heard what I said, but what I meant was, oh yeah, of course, pussy. Because when you mentioned like you would travel and grab the stuff, put it in a condom, I was like, okay, she's about to put it in her butthole. When I forgot, you guys have 2 holes, 3 or 4. I'm not sure.
How the heck would that go in my butthole, though, dude? Like, no, not happening. Mm-mm.
You are so.
So anyway,
I mean from a guy's perspective,
do it.
see, that's the first
true.
thing that comes
It's
in
true.
our mind.
And you know
You're
what?
so
If a guy has to do it, and to be honest, at that point in my life, if I had to do that, I would have done it. To be honest, like no, I'm not telling a lie. I would have done the same thing. If I had to, you put it in my 2 holes, I would have done that. You understand?
Anything.
Because
you
money is money.
Carried more.
Yeah, I would have carried more.
That's the way of.
However, that never entered my mind. See, so you're an entrepreneur. Like you.
He's an entrepreneur.
Claudel,
Yes, it goes.
the man with a vision. You know what I do.
Yo,
So you're bringing it. You
2
were
holes
bringing
better
it.
than one.
I know. It's just, you guys are
Love
gross.
it. That's gonna be my motto. 2 holes be
gross.
better than one.
You guys are gross.
All right.
Stop.
So anyhow, this was and I didn't do that very often, but like coming from the States, I you know that's what I did. I remember doing that a few times, and but by the time I got here with that plug, as they call it, I already owed most of the money for the plug. You know, like it was just like like a cycle.
Yeah.
There was no extra
Whenever
money in those
it-
times.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like a credit card.
it was, and whatever I was making was going on my crack pipe, and that was the situation. And nothing changed in that area until I went to Jamaica to import one time, and I met another guy in Jamaica, and you know, and this was the one this time, right? Because this one was super cute. This one was from the ghetto. This one was the same thing as me. Yeah, so this one was the one. Yeah, this one was the one, and this one breed me up again. So this one was the one.
So this is your second child now.
It's my second child now. So I come back from Jamaica and I get my money and everything like that. And I'm using drugs because that's what I do. And I start to feel sick. You know, I start to get sick. And I go back and I actually went to the dealer and I'm like, what the fuck kind of shit did you just sell me? You know, you better come good and give me something good because this is crap. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody else is complaining, but here, try this. He gives me something else. I try that. I'm sick again. So I'm like, okay, something wrong. I go to the doctor and he's like, well, yeah, you're pregnant. So I quit right away, cold turkey, no more crack.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like that? Just
Yeah.
And at that time, did you consider yourself addicted or no?
Of course, I knew I was addicted.
But you were addicted, but you're still able to shut it off like that.
So that was my first
crazy.
rise. First time rise.
oh, that's a crazy ass rise. You went full Phoenix.
I said, no,
Goddamn.
man. I said, forget it. I'm going to have my kid. I'm not going to. And I did. I stopped right away when I knew I was pregnant. And
So now that you're not using, you get a regular job?
No, now that I'm not using the money I'm going to make on the importing.
It's not wasted.
Yeah, I'm not going to melt it on the pipe no more. So
Exactly.
that's it. So we go back to Jamaica now to see the baby daddy and to tell him the news. Like, you're going to be a dad
Could have called.
for a Canadian.
Could have called.
Okay.
Oh, but this is more fun.
So he's happy. He's happy that you're
Plus,
having his baby.
and plus, we're bringing back some more ganja, and we're gonna make some money, and things are gonna be nice, you know. And you could come to Canada too, because I'll pay for you to come to Canada.
Because I got money like
Yeah.
that. We're
You know what I'm
balling.
saying? I'm gonna pay. I'm not gonna marry to you, no, because I always said I'm not gonna marry no one to bring them to Canada because I don't want to be that one where they come up here and then they cheat on me and they make me look stupid and shit. But I'll pay for a guy to come up, no problem, because then if shit happens and he hits the fan, he
just
goes
a
his
flight.
way and I
There's
go
no big
mine,
deal.
Exactly.
no
Yeah.
problemo.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, no, we're gonna make some money, you know, things are gonna be okay, because this is the kind of guy he tried to stow away on, like he really like foreign was his dream. He tried to stow away on a boat to go to Florida. They busted him. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy was seriously ready to come
I need
to
to go.
foreign, right?
I need to
So,
go.
there you go. So even before I met him, right, this guy. So I said, okay, no worries. You know, and when I went to see him, I told him I was pregnant, and this time, this trip was going to be the bomb because I wasn't going to use. So I was going to take the money and do the right thing, right? But I got busted.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bringing in, bringing
Of
in.
course, I got busted.
Okay, how did you get busted? You were.
Well, to be honest, like, how did I get busted? I believe someone told on me, but that could just be me thinking that somebody
So you
ratted
don't-
me
you
out.
don't know.
But I don't know how.
don't know.
You know, because they actually did come to me really quickly, like without even like checking my docs and everything, and they're like, "You come over here." So like in my
Well, they probably
mind,
saw that you were a frequent flyer.
Yeah.
well, no, but they hadn't checked yet.
Okay.
They hadn't checked that yet. They had just actually called me out and said, "Come."
Yeah,
You know,
somebody must have.
I
There's a
feel
snitch,
like
there's
I
a
feel
snitch.
like somebody did. I feel like somebody snitched.
6'9" yourself. Yep.
Right? And that's how I feel. And nothing is going to change my mind. You know, that's just the way I believe that happened. But I also got to say that, things just happen the way they happen, and it's okay. I went, I did my time, I came out. I didn't have to have my baby when I was in jail. Like, I have a lot of things to be grateful for.
So wait a minute, you got caught with how much weed?
I got caught with, so listen to this, the whole thing about this trip. So the other trips had been for someone else, right? This trip, half was mine and half was the other person. 13 pounds, I think it was. 13 pounds of weed, and 6 would have been mine and 7 would have been hers, So like, I was like, finally trying to do something for myself. But like I said, what goes around comes around, like karma, right? Like, I had done so many things and gotten through and never made good use of it. Yeah. So now, like, like that, higher power, like the universe is saying to you, watch this now. You want to try something good this time? Too bad for you, And so I had to take it like that. Like, I had to do my time. I did my crime. So I went to jail, and I found out right away that I wasn't going to have the baby in there. So I got the 18-month sentence. Like, 18 months sounds like a lot, right?
Sounds like 2 babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So you didn't have the baby in there.
I was crying my head off when they said 18 months. I'm like, what the hell? I have my baby in jail. I was like freaking out because, it's like a lot. My only sentence before that had been 15 days, 30 days, etc. So like, I was like 18 months, and I'm freaking out. My lawyer's like, no, don't worry about it. It's your first provincial sentence. You're going to get out at, he's like, you're going to get out at your 1/6. You're going to get parole at your 1/3. And so I began to understand the system of it.
Okay, good.
So at 1/6, I was allowed to go to the same Elizabeth House I told you I never wanted to go to when I was pregnant. So they're like, okay, you're going to go on conditional release to Elizabeth House. And then at 6 months, I got my parole. So I was like 8 months pregnant, and I was ready to leave Elizabeth House. And so I got to have my baby at home,
So you were at, you did Elizabeth House here in Montreal?
Yeah. This was in Montreal.
All in Montreal.
Yeah, so far. So anyway, you guys, to be honest, you can see that my story is like really, really long, and there's a lot of stuff, and you got to read the book.
Exactly, because honestly, the story that you were mentioning to us, these things, and we get to see those things on TV, we get to see those things in shows, movies.
Yeah.
But never like we have someone actually live through these things. I'm not saying, well, I don't have anybody live through these things, but I have you now.
Yes.
Liane,
Yeah.
right? And
a living example.
Exactly. And hearing like everything coming out like from the source, I feel like you make us richer. With your experience, something that's clear, something that's real. There's nothing more raw than what's coming out of your. No, that came out wrong. Anyways,
what's coming out of your mouth?
What I'm trying to say.
No, but it is raw. It's a raw story.
It's the
like
raw
I'm
story,
telling you,
and
you read the book, you're gonna, and that's what people tell me. They're like, they read the book and they're like,
crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
All right, tell us, please tell us. Where can we get this book? What's the name? Tell us everything about it. Where can we reach you?
Okay.
Tell us about you. Tell us. Talk to us.
And so that's what we're going to talk about now. So what we were discussing before was the beginning of like, destruction and chaos.
Yeah.
And then there was a part where, good things happen. So you have a
Rising.
beautiful baby,
Yes.
and things get good. And then, so that's the whole way of the story. And the book starts when I go to rehab for the last time 5 years ago. And that's when I start to write the book. Mm-hmm. And there's a journal of the rehab. And then in between the journal is the story of my life and all different things that have happened.
Okay.
And et cetera, et cetera. And as I said, people that read the book, they're just like, wow, they can't believe I'm still here. Because like really and truly, like I did go to live in Jamaica, and I went to live in Jamaica. I wasn't using or anything like that. And then I had a heartbreak, and I did go use in Jamaica. So then I'm a crackhead in Jamaica. So you can imagine, like, you can just imagine, like there was just a bunch of crap and chaos and madness,
I see.
So the place to get the book is, I have a website, which I started about 3 years ago, where I wanted to be helping other addicts and criminals to know that, it's possible to change no matter what. Mm-hmm. So I had this website, but I put it up on my own. My brother helped me. I did it like on GoDaddy, like a very, low scale, yeah. So and I had put services up there like a sobriety companion, a motivational speaker, et cetera, and so we started the website with that. And in the meantime, I was trying to find someone to help me, with the book, because I'm not a writer and I'm not a professional.
But you got a story to tell.
Yes, I do, and I wrote the story myself, and I wrote it myself. So I needed someone to assist me to put it into perspective, to help me take out the parts that weren't necessary, right, because there was way too much information, et cetera, et cetera. So it took me a while to get someone, Okay. It's not like I had like money. I was starting 5 years ago when I got clean, I started to work at Tim Hortons. You know what I mean? Like I don't have money to pay.
Start somewhere.
Right, but I couldn't pay a professional. So I finally found someone, and this is after I had the website already. So we began to go through the book. And then once the book got to the point where we were ready to publish it, I'm like, okay, well, we should make the website have a part for the book. So the website is now one part about my story, one part is for the book, and the other part, so there's 3 different pages, is for Maison LI-BER-T or Liber-T House, which is going to be the house for women that are leaving jail or rehab that want to start a productive life, to be productive
Make
members.
their lives better.
Yeah, to have a better life and to be productive members of society.
That's amazing. I feel like whatever it is that you're doing for these women, making their first step towards like a righteous place is something amazing, and we need more people like you, honestly, to help people out. And people, please go, God damn it, go and get that book.
Yeah.
Go and get that book. And honestly, I feel like I'm talking for most of our audience when I said that we need to continue that story.
Yeah.
We're
This
gonna
is
need
like,
to continue that story.
we spent this whole time talking about like just a small fraction of your
That's
life.
crazy.
It's crazy. And it went like
7
that.
times rising.
Yeah.
And we spoke about
one. We got
There
to
you
one.
go. It's true.
Yeah.
It's
So, all right, tell you what, people, please. What if I were to tell you, hit us up, let us know if you guys would like to have more of this story. Tell us the rest. What happened?
Yeah.
You know, she wrote a book. It got to a book.
Yeah.
So, hit us up, and we'll see if we can make something happen. Right? Day, would you be down?
I'm down.
Would
I'm
you be
down.
down?
I'm
You down?
I
I'm
can't.
down
Liane,
anytime.
you'd be
That's what
down
I'm about now. I'm
anytime?
about like going out there and spreading the message of hope, and that, you know, letting people know that things can change. And in the meantime, if you guys want to go and look up, you know, what's going on, you can actually just Google my name and find what's going on.
Liane Berry.
Yeah,
Berry.
Liane.
Very.
Y'all got it?
Berry,
Good,
like
please
strawberry.
Google that name.
Yeah. So you
But they
can
say the
just,
darker the berry.
The
sweeter the
sweeter
juice.
You know how we do.
yeah, and it's
But
so
honestly,
true.
Liane,
And it's so true. She's talking from personal experience. You got that? You
Live
got
with
that?
them dark berries. Them juicy berries.
Very
No.
special, Betty.
Very
Special berries.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can never thank you enough for coming by, telling us your
Yeah,
story,
you're
and
amazing.
we are gonna try to have you back again and continue that story.
Look, I would be my pleasure anytime. And now, you know, like,
Perfect.
you know, we know each other so well. You know, we could talk about anything.
Anything, because you know that's what we do.
That's what you do,
That's
day
what we
and
do.
night.
We talk day and night and
day and night and day and night and day and night.